Wherever they landed, they would have found Frenchmen ready to help them. Frenchmen like Jacques, still fighting. Workers, farmers, housewives, or village priests. Soldiers without uniform, daily risking their lives to help our airmen back to England.
Oh. Hello.
Father tells me that you may be able to get out of here tonight.
Wizard.
One cent.
Thank you.
Isn't that right, Father? Well, if all goes well, I think so.
Yeah.
How did you get into this racket, Father?
Oh, to tell you that, my boy, would require something of a confession. Not a confession of guilt, but more an honest review of our story here in France. You know, war had come to us. A war which we didn't seek, and we were defeated. It would be difficult to make you understand the terror and the confusion of that defeat. Perhaps you felt something of it at Pearl Harbor and at Dunkirk. But our Pearl Harbor and our Dunkirk was France itself. There was no place to retreat. There were no protecting waters around us. There was no breathing spell. And it seemed to us then there was no help anywhere. Almost before we knew it, the enemy was in our villages, behind our lines, in our homes, in our city halls, in our radio station, in our newspaper. And the voices within who cried, defeat. Well, then the Marshal Pétain spoke.
L'histoire dira plus tard ce qui vous fut épargné.
This man had beaten the Germans at Verdun in the last war, and many Frenchmen respected and trusted him. He said that we were paying for our sins, and in our anguish we accepted this judgment. Then he abolished representative government in France and made himself chief of state. He told us we must learn to collaborate with the Germans. Then the Marshal spoke 3 words of hope. Work, family, country, he said. He said in these 3 words we would find forgiveness. Of course, there were many who never for a moment accepted the Marshal. There was the Gaulle.
Nous croyons que l'honneur des Français consiste à continuer la guerre aux côtés de leurs alliés.
This man refused to acknowledge defeat. He escaped to England and rallied the fighting French. He said, France has lost a battle, but not the war. He said, collaboration is treason. He said, Frenchmen, fight on. And before long, most of us learned that he was right. With me, I remember when it happened. It was a terrible awakening. It was when the government began to turn over hostages to be shot. Some of them were my friends. And then I saw French workers sent away to Germany. I saw the families saying goodbye. And I looked to the winner of Verdun to die with these hostages, to be sent away to Germany with these prisoners. But he didn't either. Instead, he gave his approval. And then I knew. I knew there were some things worse than war and better than peace. I knew that the Marshal was not our father, but the close relation of our enemies. And I understood what these three words, work, family, country, had come to mean. And then I longed for three other words that we had lost. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Liberty, equality, fraternity. So you see, the rest was easy. For instance, I found a boat and some men to sail it, and I think I'll see them about you now. Hi, my friends.
It's nice fellows.
Yeah. I'll tell you something interesting. This man, who calls himself Claudius, is the son of the owner of the castle. And the other one is the secretary of the communist cell in this district. They have not always agreed in the past, but now, against a common enemy, they have found unity. And I, as the priest of our village, approve.
Give me a hand, someone. Who's he?
A forestier. He comes from Paris. He goes with you. He joins the consultative assembly. Goodbye. It's very sad to be always saying goodbye to one's friends. But perhaps before too long I'll say welcome.
We'll make it as soon as possible, Father. So long.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, my friend. Médéric, be careful, huh?
Don't worry, Father.
Goodbye, Father. You'll hear from me.
So, with Joe and Tommy, this Jacques carries on the fight. But there are other Jacques who cannot fight. Hundreds of thousands of them. Locked in the prison camps of Germany, they can only suffer and wait.